After the brutal defeat by the Prithvi Raj Chauhan during the First Battle of the Rain, Mohammad Ghori reached Ghazni with fatal injuries. More than the wounds, the defeat gave him agony. Ghori publicly humiliated and dismissed all his generals and commanders of his army who showed cowardice at the Rain. He took a vow to forego all luxuries until he avenged his defeat. Keeping this in mind, he started rebuilding his force. Prithvi Raj Chauhan, meanwhile, was overjoyed at his victory at the Rain. Convinced that he had demonstrated the superiority of his forces, he neglected to strengthen his borders. In the summer of 1192, Mohammad Ghori led an army of 52,000 cavalries, which made up almost half of the Ghurid army. When he arrived in Peshawar, he chose to forgive his commanders who had been dismissed, and asked them to rejoin his army, which they did. Mohammad Ghori recaptured the fort at Tabarhinda, when barely a month had passed since it fell to the Rajput forces. Once again, Mohammad Ghori sent a demand to Prithvi Raj Chauhan to accept him as suzerain, and just like last time, it was refused. Prithvi Raj Chauhan marched out to meet Mohammad Ghori once again, but the number of men he had raised for his army was below his expectation, as he had sent his commanders campaigning elsewhere in the previous months. So Prithvi Raj was left with 100,000 men and 300 war elephants. Facing each other once more on the fields of the Rain, Prithvi Raj sent a message to Mohammad Ghori that he would not fight if Ghori returned to his homeland, but would destroy him if he advanced. Ghori, utilizing his betrayal and deceptive intelligence, acted as if he agreed to Prithvi Raj's terms, but asked him for the fort at Tabarhinda, and some time to discuss the matter with his brother, who was the co-ruler of the Ghurid Empire. Meanwhile, the Ghurid forces made preparations and carried out reconnaissance of the Rajput forces. The trickery made Prithvi Raj feel secure, causing him to skip surveying the area himself. The Ghurid army marched out at the crack of dawn, carrying out a surprise raid in the Rajput camp, in which several war elephants were neutralized. Unaccustomed to such a kind of warfare, as their military culture forbade nighttime battles, the Rajputs were shocked by the sudden attack. But they slowly recovered, eventually pushing back the Ghurid cavalry. As they chased the raiders, they discovered the Ghurids had already lined up for battle, signaling the start of the Second Battle of the Rain. Realizing that the Rajput forces were highly trained, the Ghurids opted to avoid close-range combat with them. Instead, the Ghurids' army was formed into 5 units, and 4 units of horse archers were sent to attack the enemy flanks one after the other. Ghori instructed these archers not to engage in combat when the enemy advanced to attack, and instead, he ordered them to retreat in order to exhaust the Rajput elephants and soldiers. As predicted, the exhausted Rajput forces chased the retreating unit. It was then that Ghori unleashed the last unit to attack. This was a perfect checkmate. Rajput troops ran away in fear, while others stayed and fought until the end. Ghori's forces were victorious and killed Prithvi Raj Chauhan. In less than a decade, the Ghurid forces were able to take control of the kingdom and extend their power across the Gangetic Plain and Bengal. The Second Battle of the Rain is important in the history of India, because it was the first time that Islamic influences became a part of Indian culture.